Um, got 10 minutes into that video, and I'm going to another platform, and hopefully this platform, I add the thumbnail to this um, a little later. Hopefully this platform um, is a little bit more. I can keep the connection here a little longer without having interruptions with my internet. Um, but I was getting into what we was talking about Michael Parsons, and we was talking about what the new things is coming up with Michael Parsons, and that he's in a new role. He's in a leadership role because we have had a lot of what Schottenheimer has been talking about, him being in OTAs and him being in a leadership role. And I think Schottenheimer was talking many a days about adding Micah and even challenging Micah to be more of a leader. He's in a new expectations. Um, we know what the expectations are. Um, we know what the expectations are now, as we know if we are Dallas Cowboy fans, we know if you're in Dallas, you get paid, which he's going to get paid. He's going to be the top paid non-football player in the league. And if you get paid in Dallas, um, we understand what it's about. Um, when you get paid in Dallas, the expectations uh, go crazy. The expectations are off the charts. Um, 13 and a half sacks is not enough. 14 and a half is not enough. 15 is not enough. It's not, you're going to be scrutinized in every game. So there's going to be unrealistic expectations. Yes, unrealistic expectations. Every one of our team players that get played, we have a tendency to make unrealistic expectations. And it's going to be a moving goalpost of the expectations. It's going to always be a moving goalpost. So that's going to be a little bit more expectations to him. The third thing is, what do we need from him? And I'm going to really touch bases on the thing that we really need from him. And then we get this in the last part of the title of this: how to dominate from the front. No, I talked about earlier when before I got cut off. I talked about how I thought Michael Parsons could be a dominant 135 tackle, 17 and a half sacks, three interception guy, because that would have made him generational. I'm not saying he's not going to be generational. I'm saying he could be generational, but I thought at linebacker, which that boat has passed, that he had the ability of the first player in the history that could have done those stats in 1 year. And I thought he could have done easily. So he's a full-time defensive end now. I think that's what he has decided. I think that's what the Cowboys have decided. They have beefed up their linebacker core. I think Michael Parsons would have been a dominant run stopper as well as a dominant pass rusher. I always tell people this. I think sometimes we look at football in the eyes of, oh man, getting at the passer is that's what they pay people. That's the guys they pay. That's everything and all of getting after the passer. The guys who get paid the most, the guys who are respected the most and as superstars, is guys that can dominate on multiple levels. That's in every sport. Guys that can dominate on multiple levels are the ones that we are talking about. Where that's the one you put in the category of generational, and those are the ones we talk about in GOAT categories. Well, I know we say, well, Lawrence Taylor didn't dominate. No, you didn't run in Lawrence Taylor. It wasn't the most publicized thing, but you didn't run at Lawrence Taylor. So we have to understand that Lawrence Taylor made sure that his versatility was key. T, thank you for jumping in. You didn't run Lawrence Taylor. And that's why I wanted to when I said about Michael Parsons, about him being generational. With him having the ability to be generational. And I did want defensive end to picture. You could take Michael Parsons out of the game if he's just the defensive end that rushes the passer. So when we ask the question what we need from him, we need him to be a leader. And we need him to be dominant at it all. I'm gonna ask y'all something. Y'all ever wonder why Michael Parsons never had a great game against San Francisco? First thing somebody gonna say is, oh, because they got Trent Williams. No. One of the reasons why Michael Parsons has never had a outstanding stat game against San Francisco is because San Francisco is a good football team, and their offense does not allow for a defensive end to wreck it. We said, well, wait a minute, Coach. What you mean by that? Well, let's unpack that. Your better teams are going to be balanced. And they're going to keep your defensive lineman off balance. They're going to have a physical component to their offense, which is going to slow their rush down. 2, they're going to get the ball out of their hands because they're not going to be taking a lot of 5 or 7 step drops. That's the good football teams. Now you got a lot of bad football teams out there that don't have no balance. They out there just trying to just be wild and reckless, and you can get after them. But the good football teams know how to control you and be a little bit more balanced, to slow you down and not let you dominate. And then you add Trent Williams there. You get the ball out your hand faster. He's going to dominate you. If that quarterback get the ball out on time, you're not going to beat him directly off the snap. So he's really going to kind of control you. Now, am I talking bad about Michael Parsons? Some people want to talk about, well, Michael, will you call him a one-trick pony? No. I'm thinking, I can tell you, for what I've seen of this guy, Michael Parsons, he could be dominant. But it goes back to what I was talking about when I was talking about the defense. He got to want that. So when I say in my lead in there, say, what do we need from him? We need him to impact as many offensive plays that the offense is running. Now, what that means, impact, Coach? What you talking about impact? I think last couple of years ago, Michael Parsons said at training camp, he said he didn't care about sacks. He wanted to be impactful. He wanted to be to have impact. And I thought that was a great sign of the young man growing. See, now with the leadership role he has, the new leadership role, the impactful thing for what we need is going to fit their expectations, some of the expectations that we're going to see, that we're going to have. So what I mean by being impactful, and when I talk about impactful on plays, A good defense may run a good defense when the game is going good. And I want y'all to check this out. If you can, if Coach Marv will teach y'all something. If you don't, you trying to learn about football, let's do this. Watch the game, and at the end of the game, well, just count down how many plays, defensive snaps that we run. And at any game that we get, if you see us in the range of 55 to 60 or around in that area, not past 65, most times, if we got a pretty good defense, okay defense, we're going to have a good defensive performance. If you see our defense running around and you start counting and we in the 75, 80 plays, 85 or more than 80, most times in that night we having trouble. Now, there's a couple of things that can go along that can make that happen. One, you could say, well, your defense can't get off the field. That's one. It could be defense inflicted. You could cause that yourself. And the second thing could be your offense is not holding the ball long enough, and they turn the ball over and make you have to play more plays. That's when we talk about complementary football. So when I talk about the Cowboys and they say they run 60 plays, defensive plays, I want Micah to impact 45 of them. We say, wait a minute, coach. You want Micah to have a play, make up 45 tackles? No, I want him to impact 45 of those 60. How do he impact those plays? Making you have to adjust for him because he has the ability on each one of those plays to make the play. Now let's unpack that. He has the ability on 45 plays to make the play. So that means if you go to a drop back pass, he got ability to make the sack. May not have to make the sack or to pressure the quarterback. If it's a run play, you have to block him because he's going to have the ability to make the tackle if you don't block him. With a qualified, if you throw a screen pass, he's still going to have the ability to make the play because he run a 4.340. And you're going to run it down. If you don't designate a guy, even though it's on the other side of the field, if you don't designate a guy to even touch him, if it's on the other side of the field, he's still going to make the play. He can't make the play. That's what I mean by being impactful. That's what I mean by when teams say, makes no difference what we run, what play we run, we have to find number 11. Because with the play on the other side of the field, we got to have somebody to even brush number 11 because he'll run it down. If it's a run, we can't run to number 11 side because if we don't put an emphasis on blocking him, most times he's going to destroy the run. So what we need for him to be is what some of the expectations is going to be when he gets this money. Is to be dominant in everything. Now you might say, well, coach, aren't you giving him unrealistic expectations yourself? No, because I don't think he hadn't touched the surface of his abilities yet. 68 tackles, 65 tackles, 14 sacks. Don't give me nothing about Precious. Well, I know he's got 50 sacks in at this young age, and nobody but Reggie White and maybe another guy that's done that still yet. There's guys getting 17, 18 sacks a year. And this is not bad, Marvin. This is what he should feel himself. I don't get enamored when they talk about that pressure rate. That's one stat that I don't believe in PFF. What's the pressure? We're talking about an objective stat to say if they feel that you got loose from the guy and you were 1 yard from the guy, is somebody objectively that probably never played football, probably is looking at this because this is not done by computer, it's done by people. Probably going to live on your reputation and going to consider it being a pressure. In football, and I'm telling you this, there's two stats that I love with defensive ends: sacks and quarterback hits. There's no gray area about that. If you hit the quarterback, there ain't no gray area that you was there. If you sack the quarterback, there is no gray area that you was there. And forced fumbles from the defensive end. Because all sacks don't, you can cause a fumble without getting sacked. Those three areas those are impactful. Because the quarterback, if he feels you hitting him constantly, that's impactful. But you hurrying, getting there and saying, oh, he ain't touched the quarterback, or somebody objectively saying you hurried, that he still can throw a touchdown. He's not worried about it. You close with it. Don't worry about it. But if you put your hands on it, that counts and makes him rattle. But this is not talking bad about Michael Parsons. I am a Michael Parsons fan. But I'm trying to get him prepared of what he's about to receive from Cowboy Nation once he gets $40 million a year. Well, I done seen it, man. I've been a Cowboy fan long enough. I seen it when we played Dion, and Dion started when doing what, when they played Tony Romo. We think Dak was getting problems. Tony Romo got the same stuff. Danny White, they ripped Roger Staubach. The expectation goes through the roof. Some of these guys didn't get as many as ripping that some of the other guys because we had some success when they got their money. And that's how you can stop some of this ridicule by winning. By winning. But what we need for him is to be dominant in all areas. I was watching and I'm gonna shout out to him and anybody in this chat, man, that's members of Law Nation. Man, I appreciate Law Nation so much, man, for giving me the opportunity and posting me on his live, and so many people came out and gave me and joined my channel, man, and I really appreciate that. Pressure to the quarterback face, right, sir. And the quarterback from the D tackle position, inside stunts and gap blitzes. Yeah, Michael Parsons was listening. That's a great comment. Listen, when Michael Parsons played middle linebacker in blitz, he got his first year, I think 7 or 8 of his sacks came from that position. I don't think we understand a guy with Michael Parsons' speed, his foot quickness, and his power. If you fan out with your defensive tackles and they go rush wide on the guards and you leave the center, there is no double teaming Michael Parsons when he rushes up the middle from the linebacker position. You can't double him. And if you fan out and you leave that center on an island with just a little bit of room, he's gonna win that. He's gonna win that battle 10 out of 10 times, and he's gonna be in the quarterback face like right now. Matter of fact, the quarterback is gonna already have a problem and have his eyes not down the field. His eyes are gonna be on Michael Parsons from the start, where it's standing in the middle of the field, because he understands the center can't block him. Now I'm getting off my tangent. I'm finna get back, but I want to give y'all some coaching points, because that's Coach supposed to do, give you coaching points. In pass protection, offensive linemen want to match up big against big. And you say, Coach, what is big and big? Well, we give us a thing, not about how the size is, but we consider offensive linemen, guard, tackle, center, big guys. And on the defense, we consider defensive tackles, defensive ends, big guys. We consider little guys, tight ends, running backs on the offense, receivers, quarterback. On defense, we consider linebackers, safeties, and cornerbacks, little guys. So when teams pass rush, your main thing is you don't want to be in a situation where you got a little blocking a big, because you feel that they have an advantage because they got a big guy. So you want to have big on big. The problem that Zach Martin says you have with Michael Parsons is he is a small guy from a linebacker position with big man qualities and little man speed. That could have made him generational. But like I said, that boat passed the linebacker. So if you're a guard and you say, okay, we got two defensive tackles, let's say they put the nose and cover up your defense, you cover your guards and you cover your defensive tackle. They cover your center and your two guards. And Mike is standing behind them. And then you got two outside linebackers out there that's threatening the tackles. If Micah comes up to the middle and says he's going to blitz, and your philosophy is big on big and little on little, well, the guard will get one tackle, defensive tackle. The other guard will get the other defensive tackle, because that's two bigs on top of each other. And the center get the nose guard on top of him. Now you're going to put a running back that's probably going to block Micah. That's a lion would eat him. That's like having no protection at all. He's going to run right through that. And your offensive coordinator is going to say, no, we can't have that. So we are now going to have to slide our protection and do other things because we can't double team him. He is so valuable in the middle of the field. That's what can make him generational. But he's at defensive line. So we talked about him being effective, affecting more plays. And I said I was watching the Law show, and Law was and Law was correct. Law talked about said nobody talks about Bosa. Nobody talks about Bosa being his run rate. Here we go to PFF, Pro Football Focus grade. His run grade being bad. Now that's hard for the people to understand what a Pro Football Focus with the run grade. It's crazy, but they do it. And saying run grade being, and some of these other defensive ends with their run grade being bad. And then we should expect Michael Parsons and these other guys, they're not getting the flack that they're supposed to get for their run game being bad. But it goes back to my title of the show. Think about my title when I'm talking to you. We go back to the title. We talked about his new role of being released. We talked about the outrageous expectations he's going to be now. And then we say, what do we need? I can't afford Michael Parsons being bad in run defense if that's been our Achilles heels of our defense for the last 3 to 4 years. I'm gonna say it again. If our defense is lacking in something, I cannot expect my lead dog be lacking in it. Now, he might not like this. Some people who might be looking at this may say, "Oh man, I'm Michael Parsons fan. Oh, you being too hard." Listen, if it's something that we need to fix, should my best player be the best at that? Or should my best player be getting better at that and leading from the what? Front. Yes. Because see, tackles for loss are just as bad as sacks. See, that's two stats I look at. I'll tell you about two stats I look at. I look at defensive, how many times you touch the guy, right? How many times you hit the guy. And I look at sacks, and I look at tackle for loss. That's the first thing I look at when I look at defensive linemen and linebackers. Because I want to know how many plays you diagnosed and you got it from before the person got across the line of scrimmage. How many times you beat a guy and got off and stopped a play for a negative play, which anytime you do a negative play, that kills the offense. Just like a sack. Michael Parsons had more tackles for loss in his first year when he played more linebacker snaps than he had in the last couple of years. See, sacks are great. And I understand we love sacks. That every time, it's sacks is like 3-pointers for defensive players. Everybody love it when he get a sack. Everybody go crazy when a guy get a sack. It's something that we love when a guy gets a sack. That's something we love. But let's say if Michael Parsons got 20 sacks in a year. Let's say if he got 22 sacks in the year. But he didn't get too many tackles for loss. Maybe 5 or 6 tackles for loss. And about 50 tackles. Well, let's say 70 tackles. And he had some pressures. They say all these pressures, we know that pressures is arbitrary, kind of have a gray area. But he got 22 sacks. Guess what? He probably was on over 700 passing downs that quarterbacks threw the ball during the year, or 600. And he only got 22 out of 600. Yes, it's important. But when you really look at it, is it impacting a whole lot? No, I need him to be impactful. I need him to be feared. And I don't fear players that's only to be feared in one way. You fear players, just like in boxing. People don't fear guys that got one. Well, they fear guys that got one punch. Yeah, they fear Tyson because he had one punch. But he could knock you out with multiple. He could knock you out with a body blow. He can knock you out with a hook. He can knock you out with a straight right hand. He was fearful because he had so many ways he can knock you out. I'm challenging Parsons to be dominant in all phases, dominate everything. One thing I can say about D-Law, and now I'm going to get this because we're about to come up with some. I know there's people going to watch this and they're going to look at this and they're going to have what we call our apologists and talk about, well, he's playing defensive end and he's undersized and he's an undersized defensive end and the guys laying on him, double teaming him and that wears him out. Listen, man. 250-pound defensive ends. DeMarcus Lawrence played defensive end at 245 pounds. He said it on on the 2 years ago on the podcast when he was on Hankins podcast. And if you look at him, and I got inside information, he wasn't no more than 245, 250 pounds. But he was the best run defensive end in the whole league. Nobody down. Matter of fact, the people ran away from him. Matter of fact, our run defense would have been much better if Lawrence would played this past year. Now, I'm not advocating that Lawrence should be back, but I'm advocating to say that you ain't got to be the biggest guy to be able to be the best run stopper. And two, there ain't nobody double teaming no defensive end in run games. So he can be dominant in the run game. And how you be dominant in the run game? Let's go back to what I said about big on big. That's not only just passing. That's in run game too. You don't want offenses try to design their blocks so they can have the same advantage. They don't want your defense player to have advantage. Not in the NFL because you'll blow it up. Now you can get away with a small blocking a big in college or high school. Because sometimes your small is probably a better athlete and better than that big by far. But when you get at this level of football, if a defense of a tight end or a running back or a wide receiver try to come down and make a block in a running game against, or try to do a straight up block against a defensive end, and especially a guy of Michael Parsons' talent level, he should make an example out of them when they go watch film that they will never do that again. Let me say it again. He should make an example from practice when they start practicing in training camp to the first game of the season to the last game of the season. He should make a infomercial commercial of when they watch film, when they try to block him with a tight end, or a wide receiver try to come down and do a cutoff block, or when they try to block him with a running back, how the Lion devoured that guy that tried to do that. And then he can make offenses say, hey, we got to change our blocking scheme and make it harder because we got to put a big on Michael Parsons. It could be an easy blocking scheme if I can get a tight end to hold him on the line of scrimmage and actually block him. I can devise my other blockers to get the people and cause a running lane. But if I have to make sure I block him with a big, he disrupts our blocking schemes. That's dominant, people. Dominant players, whenever they got an advantage, they win the war. The only way you're going to block me is you're going to have to get somebody comparable to me. And then, yeah, I might get blocked. Everybody get blocked. But it's not going to be with nobody less than me. Comparable. It ain't got to be no great offensive line, but you're going to have a big to block me. Because anytime you send a running back out here or a tight end, they just better be chipping, helping the defense tackle out. But if I get caught on that side in a run play, and the run going the opposite way, and you think you're going to cut me off with a tight end that he's going to block me, I'm going to take him back in the backfield and slam him on his head. Because tight ends don't supposed to block defensive ends. Yeah, I know on our offense, we say our tight ends have to block. Yeah, and the tight end is supposed to block. But when you're the Lion, no deer come play in the lion face. Hyenas don't come and brush up against the lion. The only thing that can come against the lion is another lion. And that line ain't gonna win all the time. That's the dominance what I'm talking about. When I go back to what I was saying, what we need from him, we need him to lead, to dominate from the front. And if he don't, my man Boss, appreciate you checking in, brother. No, we gonna holler. But we gotta dominate from the front. So that's my thumbnail gonna say, like this whole live stars is new roles for Michael Parsons, new leadership roles, new expectations, which are gonna be off the roof. Soon as he signed that contract, some of the guys that's loving him and talking about he should be paid are gonna be some of the guys, the same people that's gonna turn around and be haters. Because they're imposters. And what we need, if it's anything lacking on our defense, he got to get better at it. I heard people talking about, we know, coach, we get a one tech and this and that. What is the leaders going to do about run defense? Because if he gets better and he shows the emphasis every day in practice to bust anybody ASS that's trying to stop him from making run blocks, guess what? Sam Williams is going to do the same thing. Dante Fowler is going to lead, going to follow. Maz is going to follow. Rogers is going to follow. The rookies going to do what they got to do. They're going to follow. Everybody else is going to follow the lead of the Lion. And the Lion leads from the front. He dominates from the front. So if we need something, we got to dominate from the front. And this is what I love about Schottenheimer, and I've been liking this about Schottenheimer. And it's still yet, the jury's still out on him. I'm not going to drag off, but I'm liking this because he attacked the head of the snake early about leader and challenging him. I watched a video. I know somebody in the chat's talking about LT. and LT said before they won their first Super Bowl and they had a great season, they went home that next that season, and LT was like, man, we got a good football team. He said we got a chance to win this thing. And he said he talked to Parcells. And Parcells did say, man, what we gonna bring in or whatever. He said Parcells looked him right in the eye and said, what you gonna do for us not to lose, not for us not to win the Super Bowl? And then what LT said? We were gonna win the Super Bowl with what we had, and I was not gonna allow us not to win it. He didn't give a damn about who was quarterback. He didn't give a damn about who was playing wide receiver. He ain't caring about who we got as weapons. He ain't caring about. He knew that he was gonna get the level of everybody else that he knew was talented on that team, and he's gonna raise everybody level. Accountability, man. This is what we need. And I'll say it again, man. If your team is lacking in defensive run support and off the edges, I demand the guy that's the best player on our defense, that play on the edge, be the damn best goddamn run play defensive end in because I know he can do it. And I'm not going to make no excuses about he's double team. Man, I hear guys talk in these playoffs, these NBA players talking about, well, you know, they double team. I wish Michael Jordan talked about it. You know what you do? And I would say this about that. And somebody put in the chat that I thought that was a very interesting thing in the chat. And I don't hope I don't miss, but somebody put in the chat that said that that's the defensive coordinator job to unleash Michael Parsons. Yes. Yes, it is. See, Cowboy fans, and my last point, when I get to this last point about why it's important for Michael Parsons to be this way, we want our guys when they get paid, it goes back to the expectations that we put unreal expectations, then we feel that, hey, don't give a guy a real barrel no more. He can carry the bricks by himself now. Because he got money. You know he need a real barrel. Let him pick him up in his hand. And we expect him to carry more bricks without the wheelbarrow. Take the wheelbarrow away from him. Yeah. And what is your coach's job? I have learned in coaching. Your job in coaching is to make the game easier so your talented players could shine even more. And when you make the game easier, all thing you're doing is taking the curtains off the sunshine for them to shine. You taking all the covering away for the sun to shine brighter. So if it's moving passes around, giving him an angle so he could be on one of those, what we call small guys, running backs, tight ends, receivers, because we know he's going to devour them. Yes. Because as we make the game easier for him, we make the game harder for the offense to adjust. Same thing in offense, people. As we make the game easier with Dak by being balanced, giving him a run game, giving him, if you want to say weapons, but making the offense where he doesn't have to have all the pressure on him, we make the team harder for them to adjust and play us. And then Dak shines even more because we made the game easier. We can't get our coaches to believe that. We can't get our fan base to believe that. Because we think, like I said, once we get paid and we carry bricks, we gave a wheelbarrow, a little cart before to carry the bricks. But once we get paid, we take that away and say, carry it in your hand and want you to carry more. And they usually fail because you can't do it by yourself in this great team sport. Yes. I just saw that in if you want to talk about, I know getting off of football, but sports is relative. Coach knows just as much about basketball as you know about football. Anthony Anthony Edwards, the guy from Minnesota, he's frustrated because he can't get shots off because he's going against 1-5 because they load up on him. The triangle made Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and they run the triangle in Golden State as well. Golden State and other places, they mold it for the player. But the player, it makes it easier for the player to score because you can't double team. The coaches made it so the player can get room so they can shine. And it made Hall of Famers after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Fame. And champion Hall of Fame. Because that's your job. It's Eaglefoot's job to make it easier for Michael Parsons. But it's Michael Parsons' job to say, I'm going to dominate from the front. You know, at the end of last year, I was questioning Michael Parsons in shapeness. And I think I was right. And if he's honest with himself, he'll know he would probably say himself. But getting to a Super Bowl and leading from the front and getting this team to Super Bowl ready is going to be one of the hardest things he's probably going to do. The first time. And then it's hard to stay on top of that mountain. But I always say it's very hard to stay on that top of that mountain, but you have a zest of understanding how to get there. But getting there that first time, it's the hardest, man, because you got to learn how to get up all the way up Mount Everest. And you know how many people have tried to climb Mount Everest and gotten almost to the top and had to stop? Way more people than they ever got all the way up to the top. So we have to make sure that our players know that, yeah, we have to challenge them. Because Michael Parsons, one, has a new role on this team. This is his defense now. He's the guy that they're going to look at as leading them, and whatever problems we have, they're going to look at him to be the first person to get better at fixing it. He's going to have new expectations. How realistic they may be or how unrealistic they may be, there's going to be new expectations with the paper. What we need him to be dominant in everything. That's not unrealistic expectations. That means he got to have the mindset. And just like I talked about stopping the run, I don't believe it's talent. I believe we hadn't had the mindset to be a good run stopping team. We just been taking it like we took the run game. Yeah, we know we need to do it. Yeah, and because I don't hear them talking about it. I hear us talking about stopping the run. But I don't hear them talking about it passionately. Think about it. And that's something Eaglefoot's got to set, going back to what I said about setting the culture. This is what we need, Lion. And this is not no diss to you. This ain't putting you down. This is knowing that you are and you can be all that I'm saying. But one thing about old coach, I got to see it before I put the words on it that you are or you have arrived. Just because you coming, I can't give you credit of you being there until you knock on the door and say, I'm here. And I want to finish up, man, my last 10 minutes here about why. And I don't know if Boss is still on that on the chat, man. First, I want to finish up before I go into the last thing, man. If Boss Cowboy, he's been in the chat, man. I know some of y'all might have been in the chat with Boss Cowboy, man. Listen, I'm only here because of that guy, man. for giving me the opportunity, man, to get into this here, man. And he don't know how much appreciate and how much I have learned from him. Not just about doing this, of football itself. That don't mean we all agree with everything, but he has learned, opened my eyes on a whole lot of different things about football that, hey, man, I don't never get to the point where you don't learn everything. And I appreciate him for his help, him and that. And all the others. Coach all that, JC Cowboy, Big Time Show, Law Nation, all these, man. Everybody that has let me have opportunity to talk on their shows. But I want to talk about one last issue about why I came with this story about what I needed for Michael Parsons. And this is something I want Cowboy Nation to please listen to me. Everybody in this chat, this is the last little bit of what I'm about to talk to you about. But please listen, because this is what I'm about to say about why Michael Parsons needs to be this way. Is going to be very pivotal about a healthy run to the Super Bowl that we need as a Cowboy Nation, because our voice matters. We have to stop in Cowboy Nation or trying to put the blame on someone. I know I'm about to say something that a lot of y'all going to really get on my case. I'm tired of talking about the Joneses. Do I agree with everything the Joneses do? No. Do I think sometimes they make some bad decisions? Well, everybody is. Do I think they political? Yes. Do I think they did some right things? Yes. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in them that we build a scapegoat excuse for our players as a team for not producing. Our coaching staff for not producing. We have already built a scapegoat with them because they'll say, oh, well, the Joneses ain't did this. And then they're going to use the ultimate scapegoat of all scapegoats that everybody uses. And the three letter everybody uses, they use two scapegoats for the Cowboys. They use the scapegoat of Jerry, but the main one they use is Dak Prescott. And we need to start putting emphasis on other units to get us to a Super Bowl. Because when I watch Super Bowls and teams get to Super Bowls, ain't no one guy lead them. There's a leader, but there's other units that make plays for them to win Super Bowls and playoff games. But like everything that we do comes down to if Dak don't do so-and-so. We got people out there blaming Dak Prescott, and he was hurt half of the damn year. We blaming a hurt man that wasn't even on the field. So when I say I have this show about Micah, want him to be the leader to win us a Super Bowl. Now I know he can't do it by himself, but that's what I want him to have the mentality of. I want him to take it on his shoulder as I messed up when we don't win it. That's the same thing I want from CeeDee Lamb. That's the same thing I want from Osa. That's the same thing I want from Turpin. That's the same thing I want for the last round draft pick we got. I want our Cowboy Nation to put pressure on everybody to perform. And not give them an excuse, say, well, we didn't get a player. Well, that guy didn't perform. We should have got another player. Damn it, they got to perform. because I watch other teams with guys that we don't even talk about perform and they get there. Because it's a collection of everybody that's going to get us there. Because see, excuses are for the weak and incompetent. Excuses build monuments of nothingness. Excuses are for piss poor performance. And excuses, they just promote losses. Big time losses. So let's don't take ideas from, I'm just on the phone with Amp. God bless you, my brother. Amp, if you're out there, God bless you, man. Everybody, just say a silent prayer for my co-part in the live stream, Amp Sports. Just pray for him and his family. But me and Amp were just talking. And I told Amp that this is what I wanted, was that got me upset about Cowboy Nation and why I was coming out here about the Micah thing, because I wanted Micah to understand the magnitude of what he should take, the magnitude of this, not just all on his shoulders, but when he collectively put on his shoulders, and just like Schottenheimer say, we all put it on our shoulders, we could carry the weight. But I was like, man, think about this. The 3-letter network, the 4-letter network, Stephen A. Smith, all these other people was talking about how horrible the Cowboys was, how horrible the offseason was, how bad we were going to be, how this and that, how we bad. We signed Pickens. We got a trade for Pickens. Now listen, man, y'all have heard me go back to my live streams about Pickens. I think he's a great, outstanding talent. But he has to humble himself and do his job here and not be a superstar, but his talent would shine. But he got to be a fit before a superstar. And that would get us where we need to go. But you're talking about a guy that they got rid of him for being the number 1-2 receiver in Pittsburgh. Didn't have a great year. Got all the talent in the world. We get this trade, and all the pundits start talking about, man, we worried about them and going to the Super Bowl now. And I was telling Amp, you know what I was telling Amp? That means that teams, they don't fear us because they fear us because of Pickens. This is what we call set up praises. We praise it to set you up for a fall. And we set you up to put everything on Dak Prescott. We're going right back to the scapegoat again. In the same breath, they say, you can't stop the run and your defense may be lacking. But if you got a wide receiver, they tell you, oh, we think you're going to be Super Bowl contenders. Are they really praising you, or are they doing you to sneak dissing you? Or setting you up for a praise failure? That's what that is, man. If that ain't the wee-woo, nothing is the wee-woo. So this is what I always say. Cowboy Nation, don't go out there and listen to these other people. I don't even listen to these other people, man, no more, man. I start hearing they start talking crazy, I turn them off. Don't go out there and give information from people that you know that don't like the Cowboys, and then they start praising the Cowboys, and take that information and then bring it into our Cowboy Nation house and start arguing with each other about something that somebody told you, or opinion that they gave you, or some type of diss they gave you against our players, and you bring it from somebody who don't like us, and then you bring it in the house and you start arguing with us. That's crazy. You wouldn't let nobody do that at your own. You shouldn't do that in your own house. What's going to get us to the Super Bowl is that we listen to these content creators. And yes, the ones with it, listen, take all of them are great. Some of them have some problems, but listen, everybody's not agree because I think the ones I deal with got passion about winning. But I want all the content creators, all the nation. This ain't gonna be because of Jared did what Jared and Steven did because we don't win it. This ain't gonna be because of what Dak Prescott did because we ain't winning. This ain't gonna be what Michael Parsons didn't do because we ain't winning, or CeeDee Lamb because we didn't win it. This is gonna be what the Dallas Cowboys, all 53 men and coaches, didn't accomplish the goal. And once they start thinking about the goal is in everybody's hands, we're gonna be better. Because think about our team. If our defense don't perform, if our special teams don't perform, or guys don't get no blocks, or guys get some penalties, and we lose a tough game, guess what? We're gonna talk about it for 5 minutes, then the next thing we're gonna do is say Dak is Dak's fault. Or then after we say Dak's fault, we're gonna say, oh man, Jerry and Steven ain't do their job. We're the only organization that don't put our coaches at a high level to scrutinize and talk about, man, we should fire coaches because they ain't getting our players to the best levels. We the only organization to do that. We the only organization be like, man, forget the coach. We'll get around the coaching. Get Dak help. Or Jerry them. But this team need to see heat from all of us for everybody. Not to throw them away, but expect for expectations to be on all of them. And I leave you with this, man. If I could tell Michael Parsons something, or if I could tell Dak Prescott something, or all the players and all the players, all the coaches and the players on this team, it comes from what an old guy, an old saying from a guy that was a maverick, just like Jerry Jones, and he was a maverick, but he said something that is so real, and which I think sometimes we shy away from the realness of the world. But he said something, Mr. Al Davis, that should be our mantra for our team this year. Just win, baby. I don't care if it's by 40 burger or 2-0. Have the grit and the grind to say, if Dak throw 5 interceptions, I want a team to say, damn, we still gonna win. If the defense give up 40 points, I want a team to say, we still gonna win. We're gonna find a way to win, and we're not gonna beat ourselves, and we're gonna go back to our cultural things that we can build ourselves upon. I always go back to our culture that I think that we got to build ourselves on. I always go back to our culture that I think Schottenheimer has to build. I always go back to our culture of what I think Schottenheimer has to build. And that starts with physicality first. That starts with physicality that he's got to build. And he got to go to the second one. He's got to build discipline. These are the cultural foundation, the things he got to build to have a change in culture. And after he does that, after he works on that, he's got to build mental toughness. That's what I say when we down, but if we just go 5 in the toughness, or we score teams go forward, we got to be mentally tough. That's what I'm talking about with Michael Parsons. He got to be mentally tough to say, I cannot be defeated, and I'm going to dominate from the front. And then we got to go. We got to have, in that thing, we got to have coaching and leadership. Schottenheimer said he got to teach them how to practice. And yes, we got a new role, Michael. You got a Parsons. You got to be a leader. And our coaches got to coach and make things easier. And then the talent got to shine. Yes, we got Pickens. Yes, we went and got some draft picks. Yes, we need to go get one tech. Maybe if we find a training camp that they ain't not working, yes. But they got to shine. But regardless of who we get, the core of this team is who's got to lead from the front. And yes, how we going to get there and what we got to have, the best thing of this team is balance on offense and a dominating defense. Because we're only going to go as far as our defense. And we got to keep our house not divided. We can't see what this, we can't allow people to give us false praise or unrealistic criticism of our players and believe that and bring it back to our house and keep confusion going on. One sound. Number 6. And yes, this was about Michael Parsons today. Our lion. Yes, he has a new role. There's going to be new expectations. And we need him to be dominant in everything. Thank y'all for y'all time. If y'all out there in the chat, I appreciate you, man. This is probably one of the ones I got the most amount of chats, man. I'm going through some of these chats, man. I got some, man, that people have put in some things, man. Salute, man, to a lot of people, man, that have been following me on Boss Cowboy Sports, man, the live streams and other things I have reached out and started looking out and doing. Man, I appreciate all the people that have come out and got into the chat, man, got into following me. Again, man, I'm starting out. I'm learning this as I go. It's tough, man, because I'm not a computer, a tech savvy guy. I'm gonna solicit some help from some people to help me get a little bit more advanced in doing some other things that I need to do. But what I will do is this, man. I'm gonna take this video. I know I had one that started out on the other thing that just went 10 minutes. Check that one out. They just went 10 minutes and the screen broke. I don't know if this one went all the way through, but hopefully this went all the way through. I'm gonna put the same thumbnail to this one as I put to the last one when I get finished with this, when I go to edit it, and I'll put the same thumbnail on there so people can recognize it. But share this one out there to people. Get out there and share this information. And when you share, when you put the comment out there, when you share it, tell them how you feel about old Coach Marv and how what he's talking real talk. And that's what it is, man. Coach Marv, real talk. Shout out to Lou. He might not be in the chat anymore, but man, I enjoyed the presentation and the video he put on there about our defense, man. Very precise stuff about each one of our players. And this goes along with what I was talking about. It's gonna start with our guy from the main guy, dominating from the front. And this is how we go, man. We're gonna keep on preaching. We're gonna keep on putting stuff out there. We're gonna keep on putting great content out there. All of these other guys, man, they putting out great content. They bringing up a lot of great topics. I'm gonna chime in on this stuff. I'm still out there supporting everybody because I'm not gonna get in no internet, no Twitter battle with anybody. I'm not gonna get into no back and forth thing about your opinion is that and my opinion is this. No, I'm going to speak my opinion and I'm going to listen to yours, and then I'm going to look at yours and I'm going to say, hey man, maybe there. And I'm smart enough or no say enough to say, man, let me look at it from a point of view. Maybe I can see some of yours and you can see some of mine. But our main goal is that we're gonna try to get to six, and we're not taking ideas from people or criticism against our players or criticism of our organization from people who don't like us, and now we think that they can give us advice. I don't take advice from people I can't get. I don't take advice from, or I only take criticism from people I can't get advice from, and that means that is some when I'm talking about wholeheartedly sincere advice. Well, until next time, people, I like to say salute to you, man. Thank you again. Thank you for all the like, comment, subscribe. You put it out there for people to start, man. Hopefully, I can get to the point where I can get monetized. And also, I want to say this: um, there's some things that I probably need to probably buy to upgrade my stuff into my right hand, into my lower left right hand corner. I know it's probably in a dark blue, but that Cash App, that's my Cash App thing for PBS 222. If you feel in your heart to Cash App coach some dollars to try to keep this thing going until I get monetized and we can start getting super chats. But man, hey, for me to put this thing out here and put it out right and get the stuff I need, man, anything that you do, if it's $1, $2, whatever, anything your heart. But if you just like and you share it, that's just good enough for me. But if you feel like we could donate to the channel, that'd be great. This is my Cash App right here into your in the lower corner there. Cash App is $ PBS 222, and you can Cash App me, and I'll greatly appreciate it, and we'll make sure that we go on. Thank you again for everybody who's in the chat, and until next time, salute to my Cowboy Nation.